The dinner gathering felt tense from the very beginning. One of those nights where politeness is strained, smiles don't quite reach the eyes, and every conversation schemes the surface. My wife hardly left her best friend's side, laughing too loudly, leaning into her friend's husband's space in ways that unsettled me. I stayed quiet, choosing restraint instead of conflict, until she suddenly leaned toward me, her mouth tight with irritation. "Apologize to my best friend's husband," she whispered harshly, "or I'm filing for divorce." The words felt cold and practiced, as if she'd rehearsed them ahead of time. I stared at her, stunned, not by the threat itself, but by how casually she deployed it. Across the table, her friend's husband wouldn't meet my gaze, while her best friend watched me intently, almost anxiously. Around us, light chatter continued, oblivious to the fact that my marriage had just been reduced to a single demand. That was when I understood that staying silent only sheltered lies. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask what I was meant to apologize for. I simply stood. The scrape of my chair cut through the room, pulling attention our way. My wife's face shifted into a smug, satisfied smile, certain she'd won. I walked slowly around the table, deliberately, each step measured. Conversations tapered off as people sensed something was off. I stopped in front of her best friend's husband, who now looked painfully uncomfortable. I extended my hand calmly. "Hey," I said evenly.
"I'm sorry."
A few guests visibly relaxed, assuming the tension had passed. Then I completed the thought.
"I'm sorry."
"I don't want you sleeping with my wife." The silence afterward was total. No laughter, no shocked exclamations, just stunned stillness. His face drained of color. My wife went rigid, but it was her best friend's reaction that shifted everything. She didn't erupt or nervously joke. She froze completely, fork suspended halfway to her mouth. Slowly, she turned not toward me but toward my wife. Her eyes narrowed as understanding settled in. "What did he just say?" she asked quietly. My wife scoffed, waving dismissively. "He's being dramatic," but her friend didn't buy it. She stood slowly, her chair tipping back. "How long?" she asked, her voice controlled but edged with danger. My wife opened her mouth, then closed it again. The room felt locked in ice. Her husband tried to interject, babbling excuses, but she raised a hand and silenced him instantly. Then she looked directly at me. "You didn't say that without a reason," she said. I met her gaze.
"No, irrapliaste adili."
"I didn't." That was when the truth began unraveling in full view of everyone. My wife snapped, accusing me of jealousy and public humiliation, but no one was listening anymore. Her friends started asking pointed questions, dates, messages, late nights, work trips. The answers came slowly, poorly, and contradicted each other. Whispers rippled across the table. Someone murmured, "Oh my God." The host looked panicked, torn between intervening and pretending none of this was happening. Her friend's husband finally collapsed into his chair, face buried in his hands. My wife turned on me, eyes blazing. "You just destroyed everything," she hissed. I shook my head calmly. "No," I said. "I just stopped lying for you." Her friend let out a short, bitter laugh. "You threatened him with divorce?" she asked my wife. "To protect this?" My wife had no answer. The silence answered instead. Her friend grabbed her purse and stood straight. "We're leaving," she said flatly. Her husband reached for her arm. She pulled away. "Not you," she said. Then she turned to me. "Thank you," she said quietly. The words stunned the room. My wife stared at her in disbelief. "You're thanking him?" she snapped. Her friend's reply was ice cold. "He gave me the truth. You gave me betrayal." Chairs scraped as guests stood awkwardly, unsure where to look. The dinner party had collapsed into stunned quiet. My wife looked at me like I was someone she no longer recognized. In that moment, I wasn't the man she could bully into compliance anymore. The truth had shifted the balance, and she felt control slipping away. The drive home was volatile. She shouted, blamed me, promised retaliation. I drove in silence, eyes fixed on the road. When we arrived, I went inside and packed a bag, but not mine. I set it by the door and faced her calmly. "You can still file," I said, "but you won't use divorce to control me again." She stared at the bag, shock slowly overtaking her anger. The threat that once paralyzed me no longer worked. She saw it too late. She grabbed the bag and left without another word, slamming the door behind her. For the first time in years, the house felt quiet and honest. The next morning, her best friend called. Her voice was steady but worn. "I'm filing too," she said. After a pause, she added, "I wish I'd seen it sooner." I told her the truth. "So did I," she replied softly. "Sometimes it takes someone else's courage to find your own." She thanked me again and hung up. That call closed a chapter for both of us. Lies don't survive exposure for long. There's no dramatic recovery, no clever explanation that holds up in daylight, only consequences. The divorce moved faster than I expected. Affairs age poorly when evidence exists. Messages surfaced. Stories unraveled. Mutual friends stopped choosing sides and started stepping back. My wife tried to reshape the story, but facts refused to cooperate. Whatever power she believed she had evaporated completely. I stayed calm, focused, detached. I wasn't angry anymore. I was finished. Later, people asked if I'd planned that moment at the table. I hadn't, but I was ready. Calm isn't weakness. It's clarity. When you stop shielding lies, the truth does the heavy lifting. I didn't shout. I didn't insult anyone. I simply said the truth out loud. She tried to control me with an ultimatum. Instead, she exposed herself in front of everyone who mattered. And all I did was apologize for something I refused to accept. Sometimes the most devastating truth is delivered politely.